off our conversation today about, I love recovery stories and I love your story and how you share it so freely. But I've noticed recently when you give talks and in the recent documentary, you're talking about the first day and the first time. And I noticed like a shift from talking about your personal recovery story to a new focus on prevention. And I was wondering if you could talk a little about why that changed. Yeah.
You know, when I first started, the message was targeted for people with substance use disorder, right? I wanted to kind of share my experience, strength, and hope, and impact our community. By chance, I just started touring the country speaking to high school kids. And I would walk into a gymnasium with 2,000 children, and the response would always be about me. The kids would email me and say, you know, I'll pray for you. I hope your kids are well. But it was never about them. And I felt as a speaker that I needed to be better and kind of target their emotions rather than mine. And, you know, when it comes to addiction, I think we've put so much emphasis on the worst day. And we've lost sight of the first day. You know, we're telling our children how it's going to end rather than why it's beginning. And I think early intervention is such a critical component in this, that, you know, if we can get out in front of it a little bit and understand our why, then, you know, our children can be better.
Awesome. Evidence on how America spends money on addiction is 3 cents of every dollar. So 3% of all the budgets and insurance monies and, you know, social consequences of the disease of addiction, 3 cents of every dollar are spent on prevention. So there's proof to what you're saying.
Right.
We don't talk enough about it. I know that we care about it, but we're not prioritizing it from like a legislative perspective, from where, you know, we're paying for all of the, you know, it's hard to get sober. Of course, people recover, and we're doing a better job with treatment and recovery support. But imagine if we could avoid that. But the money would save too.
Absolutely, but if you look at it, so if you go back 40 years, there's more treatment centers than there were 40 years ago. There's more medications. The one thing that we have not changed is the curriculum, is the prevention piece, and we've done so little around it. And you know, when I was in high school and I was taught about drugs and alcohol, I was 15 years old in a health class in the basement of the school with a teacher who I didn't know, and I was not gonna sit there and have a conversation about, you know, what was going on in our culture. I think if we can implement wellness and emotional well-being and mindfulness in the adolescent years, in the early education, I think we could have tremendous impact.
I do too. I totally do. I had a question. How do you have advice for a teenage kid that wants to help a friend?
You know, I
know it's so hard.
No, listen. I think when there's drugs involved, you always help. Right. And you know, I can only speak from my son and daughter, and my daughter's a teenager. And if her friend was struggling on drugs, I would hope that my daughter would either come to me or let her parents know. Right. I mean, this is, again, early intervention, right? I think that's the critical component in this. And, you know, again, people are minimizing the culture of alcohol and drugs at a young age, and it's part of it. It's become part of these kids' culture.
And just let it go.
And it shouldn't be, and look away. Right. But, you know, I tell the story in the first day that, you know, when I was in high school, they wrote a book about me. And I was 16, and my teammates, you know, our parents were from politicians to lawyers to teachers to nurses. And 7 of us out of the 15 kids became heroin addicts. And no one ever thought walking into that basement, you know, doing keg stands and drinking out of red Solo cups that, you know, it would turn into a needle. Like, it was never our intention to go down that far. So if kids are struggling and you believe that the struggle warrants, you know, a response, I mean, I think you have to go to the adults and
find a trusted adult.
Absolutely.
I agree. And it doesn't matter what the substance is. There's a better. Absolutely. You'll feel better, and you'll find your people and be healthy and happy.
Sure.
I mean, that's the thing. If you're using anything, every day to get through the day, then that's probably the easiest.
There's some sadness to that.
Yeah.
You know,
Absolutely.
there's some sadness to that, and I identify with it.
Yeah.
Right. I just, you know, I tell people all the time, my family, and not that I'm pointing the finger at anyone, but you know, they challenged me to be a better athlete.
Yeah.
And they challenged me to be the best possible version of myself on a basketball court. And I just wish they challenged me socially.
Right.
You know, I wish, you know, I could score a lot of points in front of a lot of people on Fridays.
Right.
But after that game, I was so lost and insecure
Right.
with who I was as a person and as a teenager. And you know, we have to be better at challenge our children socially
Yeah.
and emotionally.
Yeah.
You know, when you look at
It's-
it, most parents, the first time your child walks into your house under the influence, most parents, the first question was who? Who were you with?
Where were you?
Where were you?
Right.
What'd you do?
Right.
How much you take?
Right.
And nobody asks why. You know,
Right.
very few parents sit their daughter down and look her in the eye and say, "Can you just please tell me why you had to do this to yourself tonight?" So it's kind of the toughest question.
Yeah.
That's tied pretty deep, but parents are afraid of it.
Right.
You know, they'd rather point the finger externally, like, you know, the people you partied with, blame them. The house, the parents that allowed it, blame them.
Right.
But
It's your, at the end of the day, it's the individual, right, what's going on inside. You know, the more that we can educate people that prevention is a thing, just like recovery is a thing,
Sure.
I think that we will move the mission forward.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Scituate's a lucky place to have you.
Thank you.